Okay, so it's over the years, it's become clear to me that certain things in the trainings get like recognized and stay with you, while other things in trainings to get totally forgotten or get brushed over quite quickly. So what I'm hoping to do during this time is really talk and touch base on all the elements of PAX that are often forgotten but need to be remembered. Let's see. So, oops. So the first part is how much this is about nurturing environments and trauma-informed care. So often I think that we forget that PAX is about nurturing environments, and I know I'm speaking to the choir, but I'm talking about the teachers. I know that all the partners know that it's trauma-informed care and it's about creating nurturing environments, but so often our teachers are saying this is a behavior management thing. You know, I don't need behavior management, I have great classroom management, that kind of stuff, and it's really not about that. And to really hone in on the fact that this is so about something much bigger, about healing our students, in a different way. So that trauma-informed care piece is what I really want to touch base on, is how much folks forget that. So this picture on the side here is just about the 4 elements of creating nurturing environments, and how those 4 elements can be, how the elements of PAX fall into those 4 elements of creating nurturing environments. Sorry, I'm trying to move you guys around a little bit so that I can see my slides. So, you know, increasing psychological safety and flexibility, a huge part of PAX, and you can see all the kernels and cues that fall into that, all the practices, the predict, monitor, reflect, lots of safety, lots of flexibility around that. Reducing or minimizing toxic influences, PAX, quiet, hands, breath, sticks. So it really kind of hones in on creating that nurturing environment, limiting problematic behaviors, you know, tons of kernels and cues there, and then richly reinforcing pro-social behaviors. So this really goes into what is a trauma-informed nurturing environment model that PAX is really about, and it's often forgotten about how it's working on something other than classroom management. Okay, some of you have definitely seen this many times over, but I do this a lot when we can't get a Paxis trainer out. I take this sheet and I do like a little workshop on what predatory versus nurturing environments are, and I look at this and I ask my teachers that I'm working with at that time to really say, hey, you know, think of a student you're really worried about. When you have them in your mind's eye, you know, what really worries you about them and what would you really want for them? And I have them write those things down, and then I have them pull out this sheet of paper, which on one side is this and the next side is the next slide. And I ask them to read this side and say, what about that worried student faces this kind of stuff? And a lot of folks really see that, you know, I love the hand raise that comes after that, where they say, oh, that student I'm really worried about has all this stuff going on. And so just to name that, not only is this stuff going on at home, but this stuff goes on at school too. You know, the because I told you so language, the, you know, black and white thinking can happen, you know, yelling happens, and teachers just kind of do this because they're in the moment of teaching, they're balancing so much, there's a lot to think about. Oh no, Terry's internet connection just quit. Hopefully she could join us again. But there's a lot that's going on in a classroom, and then it's not only from teacher to student, but also from student to student, where calling names happens, and sarcasm and bullying, and so many things are happening in the classroom. Yay, Terry's back on.
Yay! My internet went out. I lost a pen. Will you go get me a pen, May?
So I like to touch base on like what is a predatory environment and how how might we get conscious of how teachers sometimes unknowingly contribute to one. And then
Thank you.
the next slide is really about looking, at what a nurturing environment is. And one of the reasons that I really get folks to look at this and really read over this is mostly to create goals. Again, you're seeing the 4 squares of that same first image, you know, what contributes to a nurturing environment. And what is trauma-informed care, except this is largely explaining each kernel and cue that falls into those categories. So this handout I find really important. I try to do this with principals, and whenever I can go to a school and meet with folks for an extended period of time. So really honing in on like, hey, if I want to change the lives of my students, knowing what they go home to, knowing that I can't control everything in the school, knowing I'm not perfect as a teacher, you know, what are some goals that I can create for me to practice PAX and practice trauma-informed care, so that, and ultimately what we're looking at is so that our students grow up and know 2 different things are happening, right? Like they have their home life, which can be really traumatic, and they have their school life, which is a nurturing environment. And when they're 21, they can say to themselves, which one do I want to choose to create for myself? I love to kind of talk about these often forgotten pieces in the training. They're touched on, but they're not honed in on. And we could share this PowerPoint with you all as well, so that you can use this to your best benefit and advantage with working with people. So now I'm going to go through a couple of kernels and cues that I think are little bits and pieces are forgotten on. But before I do that, are there any questions about that nurturing environment, trauma-informed care piece? Yeah, I feel like when I'm on the partner call on this, talking about this, I know that I'm kind of speaking to the choir in a big way. But so I'm going to just talk about a couple of kernels and cues. The I am a PAX leader practice. So this is one of those kernels, and that is just like, yeah, I know what that is, but how do I really practice it, right? And we can say, you know, you're being such a PAX leader, and talking about that. I know that when Hillary and Kate go out into the field, they have a really beautiful lesson that they do with teachers in their classroom to really get folks thinking about how are they a PAX leader, and writing that out and drawing those pieces out. And so that's a really wonderful practice. Another practice, as I'm sure many of you have experienced or at least seen, is the kind of sitting in a circle with one chair short practice. The teacher starts off by standing in the center of the circle, and they're addressing a student at random, saying, I'm a PAX leader. Are you a PAX leader? The student says, yes. I like PAX leaders who use kind words or whatever they can draw from the vision in the classroom to finish that sentence, or just come up with things spontaneously and creatively. And then, what kind of PAX leader do you like? And the student answers, you know, I love PAX leaders who listen to the teacher, or whatever else they want to come up with. And the teacher says, everyone who likes PAX leaders who listen to the teacher, stand up and find a new seat. So it's a little bit like musical chairs, right? But as they walk to their next seat, they're thinking, I'm a PAX leader who who listens to the teacher. And so they're reiterating and they're walking what they're saying into themselves, that they're really embodying the ways that they're a PAX leader. And then a new person is left standing after everyone finds their seat, and then you do the process again with that new person. So you're having each student and you could do this for 10 minutes or less in your classroom, but you're having students identify how they're a PAX leader. They're picked at random to share that, and to be heard and seen by their peers in how they're a PAX leader, and then to walk the way that they are a PAX leader to find a new seat. So I really love this practice. I think it's a great way to embody the PAX leader piece, in addition to the drawing and writing and identifying ways that folks are a PAX leader. Any questions on that practice? So this is another often forgotten piece about PAX, and this is when we hear a lot of folks say, oh, the harmonica doesn't work anymore. The harmonica's not working for me. And it's probably because they've forgotten a little bit about how the harmonica works. So PAX quiet and harmonica use is best used with 100% participation. And so often our teachers get maybe 90%, and then they start talking their message, and that's not really what we want to promote. We want the 100% of the classroom in with their peace signs in PAX quiet. Older kids don't need the peace sign piece so much, but eyes on you 100% of the time. The wait time is important. This is another way of saying, like, I love the PAX quiet I'm seeing from so-and-so and so-and-so. So naming folks who are participating in PAX so that other folks who aren't in PAX quiet, so that other folks who aren't can come on board, because the ones who are getting the attention of the teacher. But also it's a great time for the teacher to take a break and remain quiet and wait for that 100% participation. Either way is great, but don't start talking until you get that 100%. If students start talking shortly after the teacher begins, so let's say 100% of the class goes, teacher starts talking about what they're about to do next, and then two children in the corner start talking to each other. Just return to the PAX quiet symbol, return to quiet, and wait for that 100% to come on board again. There's no need to blow the harmonica again. That's when it loses its effectiveness, when it's too much blowing of the harmonica. So just wait, so often we see teachers talking over students and being like, well, I have 98%, I'm okay, like it's really about maintaining and holding that 100%. So yeah, again, overuse of the harmonica decreases the effectiveness of it. And it's also important to remember that PAX quiet is not about being quiet. Sometimes we go into classrooms and we see teachers blow the harmonica when it's like quiet independent work time. That is not when they need to blow the harmonica. It's about really talking about what is really important that needs to be shared. So really helping teachers identify the difference between voices versus the harmonica and PAX quiet. Those two get confused for folks who don't practice PAX with fidelity. Any questions on PAX quiet? No questions. Nice. So then there's PAX voices, which is a great segue. I love the sing a song together thing and the gesturing of the voice levels for students. This is I'm sure you guys have seen this video, but if you haven't, I added the website for that. But there's a music teacher who does this really well. She helps her students know PAX voices by singing a song. Kenzie and I often sing this song to each other. So, you could do this with Row, Row, Row Your Boat. You could do this with any song in the classroom. It's like, hey, you guys, I'm noticing we need some practice around PAX voices. Let's sing the song. I'm going to do the gestures. I just want to check for understanding. And then to have the discussions around, what voice do we use for small group or partner work? What voice level do we use for reading and writing time in the cafeteria, in the playground or recess? Presentations when you're presenting to the class, when you're going to the bathroom. What are the different voice levels for all the different places that we go in a day? So really working on that checking for understanding piece, which can come both in the song with gestures and with asking questions like what voice level is okay for those things for different contexts. Any questions on PAX voices? Oops. Ah! I could show the video, but I'm gonna pass on that so that we can get through more of the slides. I see that there's chats, but if I open the chat, I think you guys can see everything. So I hope somebody's monitoring the chat menu of this call. I'm sure someone on the team is. Okay, so the okay, not okay card is, thanks guys. I saw that gesture, awesome. The okay, not okay card is one of the last kernels covered in the training. So it's just forgotten overall sometimes, which I think is really interesting because it's one of the simplest ones to use, and yet folks tend to forget about it. But the element that is really forgotten in this kernel is the 5-to-1 ratio. So we really want to say that there are much more positives to negatives just to find balance. The magic ratio for every negative interaction during a conflict, a stable or happy relationship has to have 5 or more positive interactions. So we really want to highlight that okay part of the card. I know that Hillary and Kate talk also about this being something you can do with your cafeteria staff and your bus drivers is just cut off that not okay part of the card. Let them focus on that okay part. So if you're seeing teachers are not using this kernel correctly, take away the not okay part and see how they can do well with the okay part only. So just highlighting that ratio piece is often forgotten, and the not okay part of the okay, not okay card is overused. That's the okay, not okay card, often forgotten element. Any questions about that? Kind of breezing through here.
Can I just say one thing about okay or not okay too, Michelle, that I've noticed a lot out in the field, if that's okay?
Yeah, totally.
Just like reminding as partners, reminding your teachers too, that before they use the not okay, that they have a really strong conversation with their students about what spleens are. And that if you're getting the red, it's not a like indication of who you are as a person, but it's a reminder that you're off task and you need to fix it. So in other words, that spleens don't signify that you're a bad student. They're signifying that you're unfocused and you need to refocus. Just a lot of people forget that too. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Beautiful. Let's add that to the slideshow. That is great. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Spleens are behaviors, not people. So absolutely true. Anyone else want to add or ask questions about that? Okay, so a large part of what I'm going to talk about now is the Granny's Wacky Prize piece. So I think I have a few slides on Granny's Wacky Prize, but I think the big thing that we see in a lot of our sites is that people don't want to use or have fear around using Granny's Wacky Prizes because they're afraid that students won't refocus and they won't come back and it's a waste of time and it takes away from teaching time and all that stuff. So I just want to really hone in on the importance of Granny's Wacky Prize. So Granny's Wacky Prize is a combination of 2 proven strategies, the mystery motivator and the PREMAC principle. So the mystery motivator is an intervention that assists in managing groups and individual student behaviors with an element of surprise. So that's really why we pull from the bag or use the app, and there's that anticipated moment of like, what are we going to get? What's our prize? And even as you're playing the game or not playing the game, it's like, oh, we could get a prize. What's it going to be? And then the PREMAC principle really talks about it suggests that motivation to perform an activity increases if the individual knows they will be able to do something that they like as a result of the behavior. So, that goes back to what grandma's rule is always about, right? Like if you eat your broccoli, you'll get dessert. So it really changes behaviors in students, these two two principles, and they could get through just about anything if they're motivated to get the reward. Do you guys remember hearing about those two principles at the training? Maybe one day or maybe not. I don't know. Back in the day when folks were trained, some of you quite a long time ago.
I remember.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pre-MAC principle was really honed in on, but maybe the mystery motivator not so much. So those pieces are really the origins of that. Sorry. So onward with the greatness of Granny's Wacky Prizes. They are really useful to celebrate and reinforce self-regulation, PAX, and to avoid spleens, problematic behaviors. Oh, there's my dog. Problematic behavior. This really has a lot of brain science behind it, and sometimes that's covered in trainings depending on who your trainer is. Sometimes it's not, but it really promotes dopamine and what's called brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF, production. Dopamine, many of us know, is the feel-good neurotransmitter. So it's that chemical that ferries information between neurons and contributes to feelings of pleasure and satisfaction, but it also boosts all the really good things like mood and motivation and attention, and regulates movement and learning and emotional response. So dopamine's like really, really yummy, and we really need it to feel good in our lives. And so folks who aren't doing this Granny Wacky Prize piece is really not doing much to create the dopamine in children's brains. So we really want to hone in on that trauma-informed care piece when we talk to our teachers who aren't doing Granny's Wacky Prizes, is that, well, we can be creating a difference in our students' brains by developing more dopamine through these 30-second games, and really won't take much from your teaching time. That's dopamine. Oh, I'm talking more about dopamine. So the release of dopamine is typically triggered by a predicted reward. So when someone anticipates Granny's Wacky Prizes, the dopamine is released in their brain, even though they haven't had the prize yet. So when you're starting a PAX game, they're already probably thinking about Granny's Wacky Prize. Like, oh yay, this might result in a prize. If they beat the timer and they're probably about to start they're starting the timer, or the teacher's starting the timer, the students are anticipating a Granny's Wacky Prize at the end of it. So that's happening already. And if the predicted reward does not actually happen, dopamine decreases. So it actually has like the opposite effect of what we want. And this is why we really want to promote teachers to be reliable adults. If they are going to do anything regarding the PAX and have introduced Granny's Wacky Prize at some point, they should really follow through on giving that prize. If they don't, they're not only an unreliable adult, but their students have some melancholy, and their anticipation and anxiety actually increases because you have now become unreliable. So this is a good thing to share with your teachers as you partner with them and talk to them about Granny's Wacky Prizes. Once a student is anticipating an award, that surge of dopamine and craving of the reward increases. So the use of Granny's Wacky Prizes over and over and over again creates that release of dopamine and makes them want to do more PAX, makes them want to have more PAX behaviors, which includes that pro-social piece and that self-regulation piece and that working real hard for you in the classroom piece. More and more dopamine can create more and more positive effects. Okay, any questions about dopamine before I move on to BDNF? I feel like I'm lecturing, which is weird for me. If you guys want to come in on any point, please feel free to do so. So BDNF acts on certain neurons of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system to help support the survival of existing neurons and encourage growth and differentiation of new neurons and new synapses. So we're talking about building connections of neurons in the brain. This also increases learning, higher thinking, memory. Really, really important for our academic success through PAX. It is also a critical mediator of vulnerability to stress. So it helped with less BDF, our traumas increase, but more BDF helps us deal with trauma, helps us release stress, and manage PTSD. It is also a regulator of our drug addiction and psychological dependencies. So when we're talking about doing a Granny's Wacky Prize, this is like really the element of trauma-informed care. We are changing the brains of our students through these prizes. It's amazing. This is why there's so many slides on the greatness of Granny's Wacky Prizes. So with Granny's Wacky Prizes, students learn that they can achieve rewarding consequences with voluntary and cooperative efforts. They learn to delay gratification as well. So we help students learn that kind of stop and go, the brake and gas difference in switching between exciting and enjoyable and active activities to seated and being and working, and that kind of psychological flexibility, which is super helpful for our anxious children and the kids who kind of tantrum when they can't stand losing. The prizes also help students have an opportunity to hone in on their self-regulation skills multiple times a day. This is why we really want folks to do Granny's Wacky Prizes over and over and over again as much as possible. The pro-social behaviors of this is really important. It is the hallmark of that nurturing environment piece. And then of course I want to say, make it juicy and exciting for your students, which we always want to highlight, like make the prize worthy of their interest, and something that they do that you hate might be a great Granny's Wacky Prize if you could just tolerate it for, you know, the 30 seconds to a minute that you might let them, you know, do something super annoying to you. So invite in, you know, whatever feels good to them that they're doing naturally to become your prizes. Any questions on Granny's Wacky Prize? Any stories or anything?
My kids love freeze dance.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's like the best stop and go activity, you know, because even within the dance of it, they have to stop.
Yeah, they love it. They always, please let it be freeze dance.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Kate and I, when we go modeling classrooms, we love to do freeze dance with the PAX songs on the PAX app. So that's really fun because you might not get a lot of opportunity to play those otherwise, but there's like disco PAX and all kinds of fun songs on there.
I use those a lot.
The kids like, yeah.
Yeah, especially like when we play hot potato and stuff like that. I use.
Oh, cool.
Great. That's fun. Yeah, those songs are really fun to get down to. Okay, I'm moving on to Beat the Timer. Above and beyond. So we all know how to use Beat the Timer. We know to use it during transitions, but you can really help folks get really onto their PAX lines, PAX hands and feet being used to get into lines by using Beat the Timer. When you're responding to PAX quiet and it's taking too long, some folks like are waiting for 100% participation and it takes 2 minutes. Introduce Beat the Timer for that. Be like, hey, you know, I know we could do this faster. I'm wondering if we could get it down to a minute. And then they'll probably do it in 30 seconds. And then you write that number on the board and you keep asking them to beat their own time. So anything along the lines of quiet taking too long, see how you can use Beat the Timer in conjunction with other kernels. use it when asking students to get supplies out. And that's similar to the transition piece. Write the times down and have them get faster and beat their own time. And then the big piece about beat the timer is sometimes teachers forget to make it like super playful by exaggerating the playfulness of it and being like, I don't know if you could do it. You know, do you think we could do this in 30 seconds? And that like playful piece is really important for kids because they want to beat it. Then it increases that motivation and encouragement. So I really want to highlight that playful doubt goes a long way with adults to children. Any questions or stories around beat the timer? Almost done there. So the last part of the slideshow is really my top 10. Some of these we talked about already, but my top 10 let's remember about PAX pieces. So number 1 is predict, monitor, reflect. A lot of our teachers sometimes forget to predict, monitor, and reflect while doing anything. So this is not only for a PAX game, but any kernel and cue, anything that they're doing in the classroom, if they can predict with their students, which means really calling their students similar to the vision to say, what do we need to happen? What are some PAX behaviors during this activity? What are some spleens that might happen during this activity? And then to continue to monitor those as the activity goes on, and then to have some reflection time with the students to see what spleens they noticed, what PAX behaviors they've noticed, and just really collect that information. So this pathway is super important and really the foundation of everything that we do in PAX. So that's a big let's remember. Number 2 is the harmonica wait time, which we covered a little bit. Granny's Wacky Prizes, remembering to do those. A good way to remember to do those is probably put a GWP stick in your sticks. So
they love it.
Yeah, it's a real great way to remind yourself if you randomly pull the Granny's Wacky Prize, you just do it.
Yes, they love it.
Yeah, it's a really good way to do that. Setting a reminder on your phone or whatever you use to set reminders to remind you to play a Granny's Wacky Prize. And then, of course, after every game to increase your reliability as an adult. Those are the 3 of the 10. Number 4 is teach, reteach. So one of our trainers is really good at talking about how, you know, you can't just teach an element of PAX and expect everyone to do it right off the bat. It is going to require some teach, reteach. And some of our students come back from a really bad day or really bad break, and you're going to have to start all over again and reteach. And so this is not a new practice to teachers. You know, we know about teach, reteach all the time. We show, we practice, we get feedback, and then we reteach. And, you know, one of the, I think that trainer really focuses on is, you know, he taught his students how to push in the chair. One of them came in really upset one day and didn't push in the chair, and he had to reteach how to push in the chair, even though that student was having a hard day. And so it's an important practice. Remember that just because you teach the kernels once, you don't have to forget about them. You got to refocus and reteach often. In the same realm, it's revisit your vision, make it weekly, make it part of your morning check-ins. You know, we had a trainer that was really into the vision so much so that she would do a vision for every activity. That's a new vision every like 40 minutes with her students. She would get them on the carpet and she would write a new vision for math, and then they'd do their math lesson and they'd move to reading and she'd write a new vision for that. So, I mean, I think that's pretty extreme, but know that you can revisit, cross off, do a lot of things to the vision to make it a live document. And that's often forgotten by many of our teachers who we really see when it becomes wallpaper and other things get on top of the vision, or when the vision is like way on top and not reachable by folks. And so just bringing the vision down, making it a live document, really important. Number 6 is tutor each other. This is like one of the most important things in the world, I think. I had a partner who was really concerned that they couldn't get their teachers on board. She was brand new to her school, and she was like, what do I do? Like, I can't, like, I know the importance of PAX. I do all these sessions with the teachers, but they're just not doing it. And I told her to start tutoring her teachers. And so after some time, the teachers started feeling really good about all these toodles they were getting from this partner, and they started slowly coming on board with PAX because they were feeling the effects of it. So tutor your teachers, tutor your students, tutor all over the place. This picture over here is a parent night where parents are tutoring their kids and their kids are tutoring their parents, and it was really sweet to be there and see like some of the kids be like, you are such a PAX leader because you take care of my dinners and laundry. And like the parents to like get that and be like, wow, like I just do that as a parent, but like, look, you appreciate that. And so especially right now at this time, like tutoring is so important. Oops. So another piece that I think we covered quite a bit at the PAX partner gathering, but something to really talk about with your teachers more is not to call out spleens unless you're saying hey, or talking about what a spleen is. So really to focus on the positive to create behavior change. So yeah, we covered that a lot at the gathering, I would say, when we're like, oh, you're not supposed to say spleen while you're just in the hall and seeing folks spleen. Really focus on the PAX behaviors more than anything. Then there's PAX breath, which is really often forgotten. And I couldn't find a good picture of it because I'm not at the office. So I'm kind of makeshifting one, but basically you hug yourself, and in one hand is a flower and in another hand is a candle. And as you inhale the flower, and then you exhale, blow out the candle. So a really great tool to teach your students in order to regulate and practice self-regulation on their own. If you're seeing them kind of spiral, say, hey, let's do some PAX breathing together. Inhale the flower, blow out the candle. That's an often forgotten element of PAX. Number 9 is PAX minutes, and just to say, none of this is in any particular order. But number 9 is PAX minutes. This is one of our schools has created PAX to the max bulletin board in their front hallway, where each of the thermometers on there is a different classroom. And they have a goal, which is the line that you kind of see there. And they hope to reach that goal. And it's creating healthy competition across the school by collecting your PAX minutes and how many minutes you're playing the PAX game with the number of winners, winning teams.
That might be incentive to get those teachers on board.
Exactly.
To play the games.
Totally. It could create some good buy-in.
Yeah.
But you can see even here, this is one of our long practicing schools, and some of them have really low goals, but they still have goals. And that's success, in my opinion.
Yes.
Even though they might not be the strongest PAX classroom, they still aim to have a number of PAX minutes happen in their, and I think they do this quarterly. So, and then if everyone meets their goal, then they have a school-wide prize, which is cool. And then the last slide here is that just to keep remembering that PAX is not, just about behavior management. It is trauma-informed care. It's why we use our harmonica. It's why we say the word spleens. It's why we have vision. It's why there's nonverbal cues. It's every element of PAX that you can go back to our first slide and look at that nurturing environment piece. Talks about the social emotional learning piece and the fundamentals of trauma sensitive schools. So it's really looking at all that, and PAX falls into these categories beautifully. So remembering that it's trauma-informed care, and that's why we do PAX. And that, my friends, is me shutting up. Let's see. Stop share. Great.